This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. I'm Matt Fanslow, and she's not my girlfriend. I find her interesting because she's a client and she sleeps above her covers. 4 feet above her covers. She barks, she drools, she claws. That and more after a word from our sponsor, NAPA Autotech Training. So, are you looking for the right training provider that offers cutting-edge courses to hone your automotive skills? Well, let NAPA Autotech take you to the next level. Go to napaautotech.com for more details about classes near you. I don't know about you guys, but really my Facebook, YouTube Reels, the shorts, a lot of times will shoot me some pretty interesting stuff. And granted, as you might be able to imagine, my range of interests is quite varied. I tend to like a lot of different things, from sports to science to, oh man, you name it. Watching people get bit by venomous animals, movies, movie quotes, professional wrestling retrospectives, or showing clips of old matches or since past performers, music videos or covers, lots of music covers, stuff like that, namely metal covers, so songs that weren't metal in nature covered by a metal band or by somebody that's covering it in a metalcore type of a fashion. But I've been getting hit with like relationship type stuff. So I don't know, maybe my wife has been talking a lot about relationship stuff and my phone's picking it up, and thus it's trying to do me a solid. So that could be the case. I'm going to go with that. I like it. Fits my worldview. In any case, it got me thinking, because I've been witnessing a few different things around shops and businesses in general, just even businesses in general, not just auto repair shops. Anywhere where you watch customer interactions with employees or business owners, as well as owners, management interacting with employees. I've just been paying attention. I've been watching it, and it's interesting to me because a lot of the advice from the videos on marriage, and not just marriage itself, like any really close relationship. I don't even know if it's got to be like an intimate type relationship. It could be friendships, close friendships, you name it. I think this works. I guess I can't really keep talking about this without referencing episode 58 with Margaret Light, where we do talk about relationships, more about us as members of this profession in relationships with our significant others, and trying to be, honestly, this was shortly after the divorce episode I did with Steckler, that we just felt so blindsided. So the purpose of the episode with Margaret was to help you guys avoid the left field divorce papers, or just them saying they want out. I can't keep talking about this without mentioning that, because really there's a lot of reference to a doctor / really a doctor couple called the Gottmans. John Gottman and his wife are really to human relationships what we would maybe say, or some of us would say, John B. Haywood is to automotive, specifically internal combustion engine operation. Kind of the authority. You start looking at papers, SAE, buying, reading, you start looking at the references at the end, and consistently John B. Haywood's book, Internal Combustion Engine Fundamentals, is referenced consistently over and over and over. And what I see is a lot of the information coming at us on relationships reference the Gottmans. So they've, I think, for the most part, reached kind of a consensus understanding of what perpetuates good relationships and what's going to spell disaster. Like one is, and Margaret kind of hinted at this a little bit in our episode, the first 3 minutes of an argument can dictate not just how the argument's going to go, but where the relationship is going to go 5 years later. That is insane. With, I think, something to the tune of 91% accuracy. So insane. The first 3 minutes is a predictor. Scary stuff. And then watching interactions between employees and management, watching interactions with clients and owners of the business or employees of the business, just screams the same type of situation. And I'm not talking like just day to day. For the most part, things go smoothly. It's when things aren't going so smoothly. And I'm going to not go to the comeback stuff just yet, but a client coming in with an issue, and for the most part, and I guess most would be anything slightly over 50%, I really feel is women already are very uncomfortable coming into a shop where most likely it's going to be male dominated, and they're going to be talking to a man or potentially a woman who their responses are now reflective of management. And the reason I say that is the reason I think this whole episode has some importance to it or some clout is that front counter where the clients come to us, that has to be a safe place. No, I'm not talking about a safe room. I'm talking about a safe place, safe space for them to tell us really how they feel, which I know sounds super therapeutic, but it's also very, very true. They may not structure it quite as properly as, if we were sitting in marriage counseling together or relationship counseling together, where there'd be some urging to reword things and, oh, what you're saying isn't really a feeling. It's more accusing, blaming. That's not really a feeling. Why don't you say how you feel? Well, fine. At the front counter, we're going to have to do a little bit of reading between the lines. If they're coming to us with concerns with their vehicle, that has to be a safe place for them to share those concerns and not feel invalidated. What I've learned with validation over the course of the last, weeks, months, is I had a major misunderstanding of what validation was. Validation, whether we're talking about at the front counter or even in our relationships, is basically agreeing or conceding guilt. And that's way not the case. And the reason I bring that up is I will bring it up further in a bit when we start talking about comebacks or rechecks, whatever you call them, misunderstandings. In this case, it doesn't make sense when they're telling us their concerns to in any way invalidate what they're saying or really try to correct them, because it really conveys a sense of condescension. And if we start doing that at the front counter, much less in our relationships, it is one of what they call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse of relationships. It is now putting them at even more unease. And the worst part about that is lack of trust. They don't trust us. They're uncomfortable. Are they really going to want to keep coming back to where they feel uncomfortable? And the argument could be on our side is wherever they go, they're probably going to feel uncomfortable. It's not the worst argument. There might be some truth to it until they find a shop where they don't feel that level of unease, where they do feel comfortable, where they do feel that this is a safe place for them to bring up their concerns and they will not be made to feel bad about it. And I'm not saying that we're calling them idiots and outright gaslighting them, but if there's a level of condescension, they're trying to describe, the vehicle pulls, and after a few questions, we get them to explain that, it pulls only when I touch the brake pedal. And then we respond, well, that's a brake problem. And our tone most likely conveys like, you idiot. It's not an alignment problem. It's a brake problem. You're coming in here asking about an alignment or tires. It's brakes. Oh, and by the way, 3 months ago, we told you should have them replaced. Maybe we don't say it just like that, but we can kind of convey that. NAPA Autotech training sessions are being conducted day and night in a town near you. This training caters to every level within your organization, be it a mechanical assistant, a mechanical specialist, a technology specialist, or a driver safety calibration specialist. Imagine a one-stop shop training partner in NAPA Autotech that will lead your team to a path to greatness. Autotech's entry-level Build-A-Tech classes convert the untapped potential of your new hires into money-making mechanical specialists. Autotech's higher-level tech update classes introduce specialists to the world of ever-changing technologies, which prevents your shop from getting technologically stagnant. Remember, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And, turning to the front of the store, the Autotech Service Advisor class is an awesome way to hone your client advocate skill set, ultimately benefiting the customer through an improved vehicle repair experience. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine an electric vehicle class that takes your specialist well past the mundane, yet necessary safety topics. Well, it's here. Autotech's EV Ready training is a week-long curriculum that takes participants through a hands-on experience involving hybrids and electric vehicles. The session kicks off with the use of PPE and proper tooling while touching on required OSHA regulations. Then, the students dive into the lab vehicles to gain knowledge of the common high-voltage components on EV and hybrid vehicles and their function. Attendees will be taken on a path exposing them to different electric vehicle manufacturers to compare component form and location. Additionally, information about Level 1 and Level 2 charging systems will be included, along with a quick look at DC to DC charging. The operation and maintenance of subsystems are explored, including the different modes of Tesla operations, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Commit to taking your business to the next level with NAPA Autotech training. Just the mindset of having a safe space at the front counter for our clients is extremely important. And then for employees to be able to interact with management, virtually everywhere should be a safe space, but especially whoever's office, the owner's office, the manager's office, that needs to be a place where feelings can be shared. And I know that just probably causing some hair on the back of people's necks to stand up when I say sharing feelings, but they can come to you with concerns. Well, the concern may or may not be a feeling, but if they're feeling a certain way, like just a fear of, I'm scared of tackling another network problem. I'm scared of tackling another parasitic drain because last time it didn't go so well and you really came down on me pretty hard for not figuring it out right away. Even if honestly that wasn't the case, or you didn't think you really were, that you weren't frustrated with them, you were frustrated with the vehicle or the situation or the client. We're back to that validation word. They need to have those feelings validated, that I accept that you feel this way. I'm sorry you feel this way. That's probably the best way to say it, is I understand why you might feel that way. And then suggest that, I don't want you to feel that way. I didn't think what I was saying was that way, or my intentions were not to make you feel a certain way, or certainly not badly. I was frustrated with the car. I was frustrated. This can open up a dialogue. How can things be handled better? Gets it out in the open. That now becomes a place where not only can they come to you with concerns and ideas and feelings, but also they're coming to you with solutions. They're more engaged, and you're going to find that vaguely your relationship, but also your communication and everything, bantering back and forth, improves. The entire environment of the shop starts to improve immediately. And this is just without a lot of emotion going on. This is without a lot of escalation, because we've learned that validating a client isn't conceding guilt, at least for why they feel the way they do. It's acknowledging that their feelings, we don't get to decide how they feel. It takes us to the next level of, now there's an issue. And this is where you really see this stuff happen. The real negative stuff is the client has now spent however much money with you. To them, it was a quote unquote a lot of money. Doesn't matter how much. Maybe it doesn't even matter if it's a lot of money to them. They've paid you to take care of a concern, And now that concern is not fixed, or they have a new one, and it's an ever since you. And I know how we all feel about ever since yous. We talk about that a lot. But in the client's eyes, they're scared. When it really gets down to it, they're scared. They're scared that they've misplaced their trust. They've scared they're going to be living one of the nightmares that they've read about or seen on TV in these news magazines or whatever you want to call them, where they've spied on or checked up on these scamming repair shops, and they're just scared to death they're getting scammed. They're scared to death they're being taken advantage of. I mean, they're elevated. Their emotional state is greatly elevated. They're upset. They're raising their voice, maybe even flat out yelling. They want to be reassured that we got their back. And this is where those tools come in extremely powerful, because too often what happens to that response, someone coming in hot, they're aggravated, they're scared, but we don't see it as scared. We just see it as they're angry. They're blaming us. We get defensive. I'm almost immediately defensive. And that's where we take zero accountability. We do not validate how they feel at all. So now it's escalating it even more. They're getting more upset. They're more scared, because now not only are they fearful that they got scammed, the person they're talking to, the person that you're hoping will give a rip, is getting ultra defensive, and they're not feeling heard. And the trust is just dropping, like falling off the edge. And it's just a bunch of emotions. Everybody's into their emotions. Employee or the owner of the shop, manager of the shop, is in their emotions, very defensive, offended that they're being blamed for something that we haven't even proved was their fault yet. Was it a completely unrelated issue with a similar symptom or completely different symptom, but it happened shortly after the vehicle was serviced? And it could be 100% true. It could be 100% not the shop's fault, not the tech's fault. It could be a part failure. But what needed to happen was immediately validating their feelings. That would be scary. It doesn't feel good when you've paid money to have something addressed and you're worried it isn't addressed. And we are going to make sure that we take care of you. We have you. I am sorry this has happened. I'm hoping that we can find out what happened and take care of it for you and make this right, put you at ease. Part of the reason you bring your vehicle here is not just because things go right most of the time, but when things go wrong, we got you. We're going to take care of you. And if this is something we did or something we installed or something we didn't do, we're going to be on it. And immediately, it seems like common sense, but you watch this over and over and over. And like I said, it's not even at auto repair shops. It's all over. It's at freaking stores, department stores. And it's the same thing when employees go to their bosses or their managers, furious over something. Their check is short. They think they got shorted hours. They didn't get credited for whatever time. They're losing time because somebody forgot to order parts and now their paycheck is suffering and that's not fair. And whatever scenario can come up with that they're in there, they're very upset. And yes, mechanics, technicians, mechanical specialists, technical specialists aren't the best about phrasing. They're not going to come in phrasing their words and using their I feel statements. And I'm not mocking their use or not using them at all. But coming in and immediately defenses going up starts to cause trust to be lost. And it really does go the other way, where if manager or owner goes to the employee with a concern, I'm scared you're riding the clock. I'm kind of concerned. I'm worried. This is why. I think we're just immediately used to the idea of the tech becoming extremely defensive. How dare you? I would never do that. Why do you paint me in such a bad light? Is this what you really think of me? You might as well be watching a married couple not exercising some skills with validation. So where this is really all going is If you want a better relationship with your clients, you want a better relationship with your employees, you want a better relationship with your managers, we should all be going to marriage counseling and learning some of these tools, learning how to validate. You could actually validate their feelings, and then a while later, a half an hour later, an hour later, a day later, go back and say, hey, you know what? I'd like to talk about this again and maybe straighten some things out. Like, this wasn't my intention. This was a complete accident. I did not intend for this to happen. That's completely reasonable to get the truth out there. Validating isn't ignoring the truth. It's accepting the truth of what this other person is feeling. And because of that, you can really forge a strong bond that gives you a path to have more conversations to then get the truth out and learn from each other, learn perspectives. From my perspective, this is what it looked like. Now that you say it that way, that makes perfect sense. I could see how you'd see that. What would be a better way to go about that? And over time, you start getting more and more benefit of the doubt. The client has some work done by you. There is a lot of trust, and something goes awry. They get the car back. It's not right. The phone call, or when they bring it back down to the shop, the tone, everything's different because they trust you. They're in a safe space. They can echo these concerns without being condescended upon, or, at the worst of worst, gaslit, and not worried about coming up against this big defensive scheme to protect. I don't even know what we're protecting, our ego, because I'm all for protecting the reputation of the shop. I really am. But I really don't like the idea of protecting the reputation of the shop by making a client feel unheard, or honestly, it's gaslit. That's the word that keeps popping into my head, is they're getting gaslit and made to feel like they're delusional and conjured up all of this stuff, and their feelings, have no place, and there's something wrong with them. So yeah, it just finding more and more evidence of watching this stuff happen in real time. And again, not just at auto shops. I'm telling you, I've seen it at parts stores. I've seen it in department stores, restaurants. Holy cow, restaurants. So defensive. And with auto shops, we need our clients. Like, most of us need our repeat clients. We're going to have X amount of regular clients that are going to make up the majority of our business. And then a few that kind of, ebb and flow, and a few that come with us for a while and then, I don't know, buy a new car and leave. And then it gets out of warranty and come back. And then, that ebb and flow. Some people, they just don't like it. They don't like the shop. It's not for them. But the majority of them, we need them. We need them to keep coming back, and that we need that loyalty. So to earn that, the best way to do it is, yes, of course, fix the car right. Fix the car and inspect the car and charge ethically. And don't read too much into like charging ethically. When I say charge ethically, you have to charge enough to make money, profit, and do what you say you're going to do and stand behind it. That's what I mean by ethically. I'm not saying you don't overcharge them, and create a safe space. Coach your employees, the people that are going to be at that point of sale area where they're going to be interacting with clients. Think of it as creating a safe place for them to share their concerns, their worries. Do you have to be a therapist? No. But could you use some of the techniques taught in therapy? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's resources. Not only go to some counseling sessions, or there is a YouTube channel called Jimmy on Relationships. You can just Google Gottman, Gottman, and read and read and read and watch videos and watch interviews with them. I guess I would also kind of throw in James Sexton, the lawyer. That's maybe more for marriage stuff, but he still throws out some really good bits of advice here and there. But the strongest is the Gottmans by far. And then the Jimmy on relationships references the Gottmans a lot. He just brings up interesting scenarios. Yes, they're focused on marriages, but the stuff translates directly to customer relationships, customer relationships, as well as employee relationships. And then even we as employees also could pick up a few tidbits of how not only when clients come to us, so if we're in the back, usually not interacting with clients too often, on the rare occasion we have to, we're better equipped. But also when our employers or managers come to us with concerns, that default maybe isn't defensive. Don't go on the defensive. And I think just acknowledging how somebody feels, or if they're bringing something to you that's not really a feeling, ask a couple of questions. Act with curiosity to see if you can't, within a question or two, get them to a feeling part. And then that's something that you can kind of validate and then move on to a solution, or validate the feeling, kind of get through that initial wave, if you will, let things settle down, even if it's not, some big argument, and then go back in and clear things up, get the truth out there, get your perspective out there. It comes off way less defensive. You're probably listening to this thinking like, man, this is just going to breed a really, really soft freaking environment. I think compared to the old days where I don't think people got so offended so quickly, that might be true. But that's not the world we live in anymore. Honestly, interacting this way more consistently is better for everyone overall anyways. A little more empathy goes a long ways to all relationships. So just, coworker to coworker, employee to manager, manager to employee, of course, the clients, right? They're the lifeblood of the business. They're the ones feeding it. And maybe we don't, quote unquote, love them the way we would like a significant other. But the reality is we really need them. And if we kind of thought of it in that, to a degree in that context, and we want to have that just open door, as stress-free as possible, safe area for communication, it could really cause business to really explode, and the loyalty from clients like you've never imagined. So I hope you kind of see where I'm going with that. I hope you do check out some of those channels. And if you've been in marriage counseling, I hope you think about what you've maybe discussed. And I'm not talking like just specifically with your significant other, but some of the techniques, or maybe they did bring up Gottman's and our responses and how we react, right? Rarely is it good to react. We want to act. We want to be proactive, not reactive. So all these tools can be used at the front counter or with our clients, with our employees, to great benefit. Great benefit. And honestly, if we really want to tweak this a ways, we could basically say going this road, using these type of tools, if we want to make a game theory reference, is almost the definition of the Nash equilibrium, which might by itself be the topic of an episode coming up. So that's how I will leave you. I hope you got a kick out of that. I hope it really gets you thinking. Please do check out those channels. Please go back and listen to the episode with Margaret Light, episode 58. And with that, I thank you so much for listening, and thank you for the comments, the emails. Please keep them coming. I get a kick out of them. Some of the ideas for episodes or questions, I definitely enjoy that and look forward to seeing more. Thank you to our sponsor, NAPA Autotech Training, and thank you to the Aftermarket Radio Network. And until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Matt Fanslow, diagnosing the aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fanslow on social media and connect, or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.